Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme, and today we're doing the Mayor's Corner, and with me is Mayor Will Berg. Welcome, Will.
Thank you very much, Tom. Glad to be here.
We're going to review the City Council meeting from last night, which was Monday night, and there was a lot of stuff that went on, and we're going to review it and let you know what's going on. Uh, the first thing that was brought up is that I found this, I wasn't expecting it, I didn't read the agenda, but Steve Kenny and Police Chief Andrew Salinas have started planning the 75th anniversary of Port Hueneme, which will take place in 2023.
That's
How
right.
did you find that?
It was a Hueneme at 75 presentation, which I found it really interesting and rather exciting. There were ideas for improving the Irving Carpenter Community Center. The building needs a lot of work, the roof, the HVAC system, et cetera.
28 years old, I think.
It is. And I think it's older than 28. 20 is the last
It
time
looks, yes.
28 they did something to it, but it looked like some exciting plans for that. But it also involved Hueneme Beach. It also involved Miranda Park. We have a lot of wishes on our wish list, but we are going to be pursuing them. And again, is it how many more years? A 4-year project?
4 years. Last April, was it? I think is when we celebrated the 70th.
70th,
So
yeah.
it's been a little over a year. So we have 4 years to do that.
And one of the things that they talked about was the name of the city. And again, this was an issue that had come up earlier,
A couple years ago, it was.
quite a few now, yeah, and not well received. But last night, in listening to the conversation and kind of looking at the audience out there, it seemed like there was just a bit of a different attitude, one more of openness about, well, let's talk about this. And focusing on the name Hueneme, because we certainly don't want to lose that. That is our identity, and that takes us back to the Chumash heritage of this community in this area. So I really thought that was a good idea. And so the name they've been bantering about at this time is Hueneme Beach. Well, we are a beach community, particularly on this side of town, and it sounded a bit interesting, which included a new logo.
You're right. I'll show you that in just a second. There's Long Beach. There's Huntington Beach.
There, oh
There's
gosh.
not. I can only think of one place that the city name is Port, and that's well, two. Port Arthur in Texas, and there's a port of something in Washington.
There's a Port Angeles, up
Angeles,
in
right.
Washington. But yeah, Huntington Beach,
Right.
Redondo Beach.
It. Who was it? Was it Stephen Gama, council member, when he was on the beach a while back? He said people from Oxnard he ran into, and because they have their own beaches over there, they didn't even know we had a beach.
That's right.
And so when you say Port of Hueneme, there's no hint in there that there's a beach.
Makes
People
it sound
think-
like almost an industrial town.
Right, and that has been brought up. And so the seal was a picture of a ship in the water with the lighthouse.
Is a picture of the.
Did I say was?
Was.
No, right. It still is. And anyway, the new one is, I would like you guys to see this. It is a picture of the beach, the water, and the pier, which is interesting. That's what we have on Port Hueneme News
Exactly.
on the head of it. Uh, the like we said, the pier is Hueneme Pier. The beach is Hueneme Beach, and Tracy Sessions, the CEO of the chamber, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, changed the name to Hueneme Chamber of Commerce instead of Port. And do you want to tell Brian, did you get enough of this? Okay, good. You went to a meeting the other day, and how did they introduce you?
Oh, I was at a meeting. I was introduced as the mayor of the city, the Port of Hueneme.
Right, wrong.
It just okay. So
There's confusion there, and California, and you have a great beach. I think it's time, but we're going to float it out there for a couple years, let people get used to it. Plus, that will give us time to, people agree to it, will give us time to get rid of a lot of the Port of Hueneme stuff and not having to do it all at once and then junk a bunch of stuff which would cost us money.
Exactly.
So, now, do you remember last night how they said that all of this was going to be funded? Even considering, though, we are having Measure U and the cannabis is really helping. Do you remember I think there was a 5% fund, there's a state grant and stuff like that?
There were several items. It is in this PowerPoint presentation. Funding sources will come from obviously REACH, will come from some general fund dollars, but not particularly heavy in that atmosphere. There is a community benefit fund that is comprised of the city and the port, finances for that. So this is a 4-year effort. That is, and we're just at the very beginning. Nothing decided yet at this point, so we don't want to get too excited too fast. But I am hopeful that there's a lot of really fun things that are going to be going on in the very near future.
I think the more it rolls off your tongue, the better.
Hueneme Beach?
Yeah, it sounds better. And people will learn how to say it.
Yes, they will.
I go places and people look at that and they say two things. One, where's that? And two, how do you say it? And I go, why? I go like, knee, and I point to my knee. E.
And me.
Yeah, E, me. Hueneme, yeah, right. So hopefully it'll become, well-known, and people will, feel a lot better about that it's not industrial. It is a relaxing place. And do you know what the name Hueneme means?
Yes, I do. Hueneme means resting place or halfway point.
I think it was between Santa Barbara and Malibu.
Between Santa Barbara and Malibu, and believe it or not, between where the Ventura area where the Chumash village was,
Mm-hmm.
it was halfway from there to the jump-off point here on the coastline out to Anacapa Island.
Oh, wow.
So
the
9
nearest
miles,
place, yeah.
9 miles from the port. It's 9 miles out to Anacapa. Also from the port, it's 9 miles to Ventura.
Wow.
So it's halfway point.
I remember I was at the Ventura Pier, and they have storyboards
Yes.
up and down the pier. It's fabulous. And the Chumash, so much of their, I may say this wrong, but beliefs or religious feeling or whatever you would call it, had to do with the water. And they thought the Channel Islands were a magical
Yes.
place.
Yes.
And so going back and forth and up and down here, that was their whole life. Their food, everything came from this little area.
That's right. And there's been discussion with the port already, not so much about the storyboards, but one about small statuaries and statues along the promenade that would recognize the Bard family or perhaps the father of the port, Richard Bard. Another spot where we would recognize the longshoremen and the Seabees. This is the birth of the Pacific Seabees birthplace. Other things would be the city of Port Hueneme itself. Another concept out there would be, let me see, the Chumash, recognizing them out there. So we're still looking for ideas to come together and decorate the promenade out there. So that should be a lot of fun.
Like you said, there's a lot of ideas on the wish list that we can make Hueneme a vibrant place when we're celebrating the 75th anniversary. It'll be like a new arrival, a new era taking place. We've been with the current one for 75 years. A little bit time for a change.
Exciting, yes.
Okay. The next thing is we had a lady came in and talked about the Ventura County Fair.
Fair's coming up. And,
Again. And that takes place between July 31st and August 8th.
Yes.
And the cost is $11 a person to get in. And she also mentioned that you can buy a season pass, which is, I think it was $42 online before the fair starts, and you can come in every day.
Very restricted dates on when you can buy that. It was like 1 or 2 days that the website would be open to buy those $42 tickets. So please go to the website,
Right.
read it carefully, look it over. Also, parking. Parking is always a problem at the Ventura County Fair, so you may want to consider parking in an off-site parking lot and go in by bus. It'll get you in much quicker.
That was mentioned last night too. Another issue that we talked about was the sand replenishment. That is a big issue for the people who live down there, who see it happen every day.
Mhm.
And would you like to explain to the people about Lake Wainimi?
Yes, sand replenishment and Lake Wainimi is
Yeah.
what we discussed. And when we resanded this year, or no, we don't do the resanding, but when the Army Corps of Engineers resanded, obviously there was a problem with where this sand was placed, how it was placed. I'm not sure of the um, logistics of all this and how it worked out, but the high tides, when they reach 6 feet or better, start coming over the beach actually and forming a lake out
The
there.
apex of the beach, it
Yes.
flattens out, and
It
so it
flattens
gets a,
out and creates a little lake out there. And so we're having struggles with that. Now, we were very concerned, the lifeguards were very concerned about 4th of July swimming because they knew it would be a heavy day for the beach. And here's this huge lake there. Well, overnight,
it whipped.
it went. Yes, it was gone. And so the beach was actually in better shape for that one holiday.
And then it came back the next day, did it?
Came right
Wow.
back. So somebody up there is looking out for us.
Well, I can see the waves, and for the last couple weeks, they have been fairly strong.
Pretty
So
heavy. Yes.
that whole area between the pier and headed down towards the lighthouse, there's a lot of water that
That's correct.
comes in there.
That's
Matter of fact, when they last night they were saying there was a 5 or 6 foot drop off
That's right.
that the water knocked the sand down, and
Actually, Councilmember Gama gave us a really thorough presentation on what damage is being done to the beach right now. So it is now back in our court. As a city, we're going to work on putting together a strategic team to go to work on this sand replenishment. The team will consist of Ventura County, because it's under county auspices and authority that the resanding occurs. We're also going to partner with the Port of Hueneme. We're also going to partner with the Navy base because Point Mugu and further south of us, they're beginning to lose their beaches down there too. So it's becoming a federal issue as well. So Brownlee, our Congresswoman's office, we're hoping to get them involved. And we will also look at state representatives. So we're going to put a team, Beacon also, the Beach Erosion and Coastal Conservation Group. They're going to be joining with this. And another group called RDP 21, the the Regional Defense Partnership for the 21st Century. This is a group that supports the mission of the military bases here. Every year they go back to Washington to promote the importance of our bases, the economic impact that they provide for us here. They're also onto this topic as well. We need more sand. In a nutshell, the problem is that there was a certain amount of sand that was supposed to be delivered. However, they attached it to a dollar amount. Well, in 1941, when that dollar amount was set, a U.S. dollar bought a lot more sand than one does today. Than
wasn't
what it
that
does today.
$2.5 million?
Something like that, in that nature. But anyway, so we need more sand. We need to set that figure. How much sand do we need every 2 years? And that's been a constant figure. It's never changed. It's the money amount that has changed. And so Congress has, what we estimate, has shorted us. They're providing the same amount of dollars. But again, $1940 versus $2019, a little bit different.
Yes, it
We're
is.
not getting enough sand. We need to get more.
And we should through the federal government, because we have 2 federal bases, the air base at Magoo and the naval base at Port Hueneme. Not many places have 2 bases.
Well, it's one base with 2 locations. You're
Right.
right, but you're right. The old Pacific Missile Range and the old CB base came together, forming Naval Base Ventura County. So,
I was there when it was old,
is that right?
1968.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I'm an old CB. It was a different place then. I don't want to go into that. Okay. Gold Coast Transit, you're on the committee for the being the Port Hueneme representative on that, and I understand they got a whole new place.
They have a whole new yard now, and they had a ribbon cutting ceremony last Saturday. This organization has grown tremendously. Some of the older neighbors here will remember the SCAT, Southern California Area Transit. There is no SCAT anymore. Well, SCAT became Gold Coast Transit. Before that, it was the Oxnard Metropolitan Agency, something like that. Anyway, they've been operating out of about approximately a 5-acre yard and office building. They've expanded to 15 acres. It's a $52 million project. It is a state-of-the-art yard. Now, all the buses, and there are approximately 60 to 70 routes, and they're anticipating upwards of more than 100 buses. All of them are natural gas, CNG operated. But the building is absolutely spectacular. They've got a barbecue for the employees. They have a bocce ball court on the site. They have large doors, very large doors, look like garage doors, that are attached to the actual offices, where they can open up these doors to let the outside ambient weather indoors. So you're actually working outside in a sense, but you're covered and protected. But whatever the ambient temperature is outside, you now have it inside.
Except when we have June gloom for 2 or 3 months. It gets a little, that's air
You know,
conditioning.
and I toured the facility a couple of weeks ago, and it was during June,
Mm-hmm.
and we had our typical June gloom, and there was no sunshine. The construction has positioned solar panels, not solar panels, the lights from the ceiling. What are those called? What am I thinking? Skylights. That's
Oh,
skylights.
Lets the light through the
Yes.
ceiling.
Now, my old impression of skylights, you just flick the switch and then it's on, or you don't flick a switch at all. It just
Comes
is on. It's open. Well, these have a switch that you can open it more and make it brighter inside, or close it down some. And it looks like a light switch. The amount of light that was coming through these skylights on a cloudy day was as bright as any room I've been in ever. And this was an incredible, the technology of skylights.
And
is
saves
very-
on electrical costs.
No electricity at all, none. So,
Amazing.
a great opening, and we had a good time. Gold Coast Transit provides bus service for the city of Port Hueneme, city of Oxnard, Ventura, and Ojai. And they provide, again, this local service.
I was surprised, I heard it before the meeting somewhere, or saw it, but how many school kids, especially the college kids, the Oxnard College and State University, use that to get back and forth to school.
And there's been a new route that's been opened up from Moorpark College all the way to Ventura.
Wow.
So you can get from one side of the county to the other now on buses. That's not SCAT or the Gold Coast Transit System. That's the Ventura County Transportation Commission system. But you can now get around the county by bus.
Good, good. Let's see. Oh, next, we had open forum, and a gentleman, Rick Kehoe, came in and spoke about Miranda Park and had some issues there that he thought needed to be addressed. And can't remember if it was Chief Salinas or somebody on the council mentioned to him that these issues about possible drug dealing, prostitution, drinking, were going to be addressed and are on the next set of list of
And
things.
as a matter of fact, I thought what he said was that for a while, the police were routinely and regularly going by and visit, and it seemed to eliminate a lot of that activity. Then they pulled back and probably had to go back on their own beats, and it started to pick up again. So it's very responsive to the amount of police activity we have out there. So we have to see what we can come up with. One of the ideas was to take that building there and make it perhaps a police substation and have police cars there all the time. coming
If you
and
just
going.
had one, I think it would really help, because I have been going there 3 or 4 afternoons a week on my way home, and I see the same people there. I see people pulling up and doing stuff, and I've been doing this for a month, and I have not seen a policeman or a police car, and I'm there for 15, 20 minutes. But when you do it for a month, and these people are comfortable coming in 10 o'clock, and they're there till 6 o'clock, and nobody hassles them, one person in that concession stand would really make them think, I think.
Perhaps.
And then we had David Scrivener came in and mentioned the homeless down at Ormond Beach, and that there are going to be various agencies looking at that, and they're mainly concerned about protecting the wildlife there. And you mentioned earlier, do you know some of the bird names there? I can't ever get it straight.
You know, if the wildlife can get authorities and agencies down there to clean this up, I'm all for it. We've been clamoring for a beach cleanup of many of the homeless people. It creates an unsafe situation for our citizens as well as the citizens of Oxnard. We are in we stay in constant communication with the city of Oxnard, but now we've got the Coastal Conservancy that is getting involved, and groups like the Saviors Road Design Team, they're getting involved. And what has, I believe, brought them in is the environmental threat that this is creating. But during this time that we've been trying to clean up the beaches, it's actually grown probably by 2 or 3 times. And the number of people out there is well over 100, perhaps, you know, up to 500 people. We don't know for sure, but it's a clear and present danger, and we have to work closely with other agencies and with the city of Oxnard to see how we can address this issue.
Yeah, it's starting to get people's attention, and the Friends of Ormond Beach,
Mhm.
which is set up by Christina Zubko. Information from that will come to Fort Wayne News and Next Door if you want to, you know, keep up on what's going on.
Please keep an eye on Fort Wayne News regarding this homeless issue, because I know that Tom is going to keep us up to date on the latest actions that are being taken, decisions that are being made. But again, we're doing what we can. We will work closely with these other agencies, with the city of Oxnard, to do whatever it is that we can do, what role we can play to help clean this situation up.
Very good. There is a cannabis indoor growing facility was up for approval last night.
How about that?
Well,
This-
it's better than what they have up in Carpinteria, where it's outdoor, and that is a real problem.
Absolutely. This is down on Channel Islands Boulevard in an area we lovingly call the Green Mile. And so he's in a good location. This is a couple of farmers, horticulturalists, who are going to be growing what they call flower. It's really just the marijuana and the buds, etc. And then they will be harvesting, and then they sell directly. The game plan at this time is to sell directly to the cannabis dispensaries that are right there in that
There's
building.
three or four within that Green Mile, I think,
That-
right now.
That is correct. And I don't think they'll be able to grow more at this time than to supply those 4 or 5 dispensaries. However, and we asked the question, because this is still an education for us, is there a go-between, a stop between where you grow it and the dispensary itself? Is there a manufacturing process that takes
For
place?
testing.
Or testing place? And the state provides testing, but what if somebody is buying edibles?
Mhm.
Is this growing operation going to make edibles? And the answer is no. This is only going to be for the plant itself.
That's a whole nother operation.
Whole nother
for-
operation.
For edibles, yeah.
And yes, and so this got approved last night, 5-0, and it's consistent with, and our dispensaries were there last night to endorse this project. So it looks like, you know,
Very modern, and what did they call it? Not the Cadillac, but the Mercedes or something like that of the cannabis. The quality of the product by the new modern methods that it's going to be grown are very superb to ground grown. These are more of the
yes, hydroponics.
hydroponics.
And this is where the air can actually be controlled. The amount of nitrogen that they pump into the room, everything is controlled very tightly. And that's the best environment to be producing this type of product. You go outside, you don't know what's in the air. Whatever happens to, and people know with our problems with the Indy plant and with our wastewater treatment plant, that sometimes there's things in the air that aren't very nice. Our marijuana will not be exposed to that. So being inside, they control the conditions.
You mentioned that. When I left the city council meeting and went home last night,
Yes.
there was a huge plume coming from New Indy. This was at
Mm.
10:30, quarter 11.
Yes.
And then I woke up at 4 o'clock, and then we had a door open, and I could smell a very pungent smell, which we very seldom get at Surfside 4.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, but to see that cloud of
Yeah.
stuff, and again, the people on next door let us know, and I
Yes.
mean, Robert Bromber is still working on it, and
Yes, I was going to mention, Robert's got one more array to put up, and apparently he's having a little difficulty with that right now. He has contacted the city of Oxnard, and there are officials over there that are helping him get that last array installed so that we will surround that plant and be able to measure what it is that's in the air and when.
he's found some stuff, and but they have to get it documented by a independent lab, let's call it, so that nobody can say, oh, you just were doing this to, make it look this way or not.
That's right.
So, okay. Next was the council discussed the new, Anna Handley was discussing the new lifeguard program that's over there.
Yes. The lifeguards now have new uniforms. Everybody can recognize them on the beach. They have red trunks. And there's also, we retrofitted and cleaned up some of the infrastructure buildings that they use. We have a separate shower and bathroom facility for the lifeguards there. And they claim that the room is even big enough to have meetings in there. So we'll find out. We've saw some great photographs of what's been done there. And it looks like we're ready for the summer. And so.
Yeah, they're going to have all kinds of new training. They got a facility, a trailer that they can shower and relax in.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be a really beneficial thing. That was quite a meeting that we had, a lot of topics, and I want to thank you for discussing it. And we will be back August
be.
is
That's right.
a dark month, is what they
Which
call
is
it.
which is one of the reasons we had such a long meeting last night. For the first time in several years, we're taking the month of August off, which is a dark month. Typically, this is a time when it's more difficult because other government agencies are taking time off as well. So communications is not so convenient during the month of August. So cities typically go dark in August. Many of the agencies, Ventura County Transportation Commission, Gold Coast, they all go dark in August. We haven't been able to do that for the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years or more. However, with our financial fiscal situation as it is these days, this council has gotten a lot done in the last 6 months, really a lot done. And we will continue to work hard to get even more done, but well-deserved rest, and staff has just done a great job. Really impressed.
Yeah, our next video will be in September, and maybe we'll have the second quarter of the Measure U money coming in and have an update on cannabis.
That's right. Come September, we should have a much better, almost exact number of what the Measure U funds are.
Okay.
So we're excited about that. That's good.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for watching, and we will see you in 2 months.